Hi everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. I'm Swapna Abburi. I have over 13 plus years of experience in ServiceNow platform in solutioning and development of various applications across ITSM, ITOM, CSM, SecOps applications. Also experience with leveraging Now platform capabilities, integrating ServiceNow with other systems, and etc. So coming to our today's topic, I have seen a challenge that always comes up time and again. So it's about bridging the gap between the complex backend automation process and the frontline staff who actually do that work. So as we see, like digitization is one of the fundamentals in every organization, but this gap exists whenever an agent is working on any particular case, or when he is working on any major incident, or it could be any type of ticket that he is handling. We might always encounter this question like, what should I do next? How should I handle this incident? Or how will I fulfill this request? So that is the exact gap and the problem that we are trying to focus on in today's session, and how ServiceNow playbooks help solve this problem. So if we see these playbooks, right, playbooks helps transform these rigid manual processes into a step by step guided intuitive experiences, so that it gives a clear picture to the agents or users about the overall process. If we see traditionally, the complex business processes mostly rely heavily on like knowledge articles, training documents, or the complex contextual knowledge an agent has acquired over a period of time working in that particular field. So if a new team member is joining the organization, it takes some time, like the few weeks or months, for his training to be completed in order to start hands on. So, with the help of playbooks, having playbooks helps speed up this process, reduce the time it takes to train a new associate, speed up the resolution, and also, most importantly, the standard and consistent way of handling the cases. So that way, we get to have more CSAT scores. It's overall it's a digitization of manual process in a very coordinated manner. And also when it comes to compliance, auditing, and governance, right, it will also help in these practices as well. So, and another question that we always see that, right? See, for example, in the previous slide, there's a diagram about Workflow Studio. So, Playbooks is one of the part in the Workflow Studio, but we also have like Flow Designer, right? Another key component of Workflow Studio. And we get this question like, when we already have Flow Designer, why we need Playbooks? So that's obviously a common and valid question. So now let's see the distinction between these two key components. So if we see Flow Designer, right, so they are best suited for the processes like which requires little to no human intervention. That task can be run without any human intervention automatically from the start to end, like creating records, sending approvals, sending email notifications, updating records, or connecting with external systems, or automating that task, right, using integration hub or orchestration. So such kind of activities, Flow Designer is best suited for those purposes. And when it comes to playbooks, it's not only about automating the task, but this will also provide agents, fulfillers, users. It's a kind of structured flow. Hmm, to say like maybe it's a kind of guided experience, a rich UI experience to the users with a checklist, and feedback collection will be there, and it's a kind of coordinated execution overall. So we can think of playbooks as a digital workforce, wherein it ensures that we exactly know, I mean users, agent exactly know what to do, when to do, so thereby providing the complete picture onto the overall process. So to keep it simple, if the process can run by itself, we can use flow designers, or if the process needs people to do actually participate, take decisions, in that case playbooks are best suited. So now let's see how playbook is built and structured, and what are the key components or concepts of this playbook. So the first thing is about the triggers, right? Triggers, tell us like, when to start the playbook, on what conditions we need to trigger the playbook. So here we can give like, record based trigger, one option wherein we can select the table, and when a record is created, just like a flow, right? When a record is created, updated, we can trigger the flow with certain conditions. Or also we can schedule the flow to be triggered, on any periodic time repetitive window, we can schedule it. And also like there is another option is API based. So we can use a script and using that script also playbook can be triggered. It's like a no trigger method. In another practices, another processes, if we want to use a script based approach to trigger these playbooks, we can do that as well. So if we use record based, it's more like will be triggered from the interactive actions in general. So if you want to create any custom triggers also, we can create through trigger definitions, and those can be leveraged across other playbooks as well. So that's about the triggers. Then comes the stages. Stages are like kind of grouping of activities. For example, if you take incident management process, usually the first stage is a classification stage, right? Wherein we gather the category of the ticket incident, which service is getting impacted, who is the resolver group. So those details we gather in the classification stage. Then comes this triaging stage. So stages are like kind of logical grouping of activities. And then when it comes to activity, which is one of the important one, wherein it's a one of the important step in the overall process. It's like tasks, steps, actions that user or agent has to complete in order to complete this playbook. So they are like, there are so many out of the box activities available. Depends on the type of application. We may have like automated, which are like, um, where there is no human intervention required, or there are non-interactive, interactive. So these kind of different activities available. And we can also leverage flow actions, flows, subflows, even from the flow designer as well in the playbooks activities. So not only these, like there are few more things like, playbook experiences. For example, after the playbook is built, I have built my playbook in the process designer. So after building it, where agents will view that, the entire structure of that playbook, all these activities, right? So playbook experience helps in embedding these playbooks into the different platforms, like different environments, like for example, next experience UI, which are like configurable workspaces. In portal, service portal, employee center, we can create playbooks as content items, and also in the mobile apps as well. So if you see out of the box CSM workspace, in CSM workspace, already playbook templates or experiences are embedded already as a vertical model or also in the horizontal model. But if you want to do any for any other workspaces or any legacy workspaces, we can leverage these playbook experiences as well. And also there is another concept of variance as well, like just like, if I have one core process, which is a common process, instead of duplicating that entire one, and if I have different variants for that playbook, based on like, location or a different user type. So instead of entirely duplicating that and having maintaining it in the long run, so we can use one core process and we can have like, variants embedded within the playbook. So that is also another feature we have with the playbook. So now let's say a quick demo actually, because due to PDI instance unavailability, I couldn't do a live demo, so I recorded one. Let me start that. So as I mentioned, right, we have out of the box, there are so many playbooks activities available. This is one available in the case management, which is like onboarding playbook. And here, as I mentioned, playbook is opened in the process automation designer for us to build the thing, activities on it. And first is like triggers, the ones which I've shown earlier. So in the triggers, we can also define, as I mentioned, custom triggers can be done. And also we can configure the playbook in two ways, like either we can use diagram view or board view, kanban board. Both are same. Diagram view will help us to see them, which are like sequential, which are parallel very easily. But otherwise, like both are help us in configuring it. And then if we go to a stage, for example, initiate stage, we can configure the stage properties. For example, when this stage will start, will it start automatically with the playbook, or are there any dependencies? Then we can set the permissions for the stages, like we can use parent record permissions, or we can use like, user criteria as well. And now another important is the activity. So as I mentioned, right, we have a lot of activities here. It is a view list type of activity. So if we open this activity, so activity tells us like, what comes in the automation, what inputs we need to produce to this activity. You can think of like, flow actions, right? When you configure a flow, if you are taking like, create a record flow, so what table you need to create a record, right? Those are kind of inputs that we are going to produce it. So that is depends on the activity. If you are creating simple processes, we don't need to worry about building custom activities, but if at all, if the process is complex, we can go with creating a custom activities as well. And this is a flow action, which is configured in the activity that I have selected for this particular playbook, right, which is a view list. And these are playbook actions. So when an activity is selected by the agent, when he's working on that activity, these are comes as like a buttons that he can click. If you want, we can customize, according to our process. So that is mainly on the activity part. So there's also one more option if you see these optional activities, right? So optional activities are helpful, for example, to provide the flexibility to the agents. If at all, if any process requires, agent has to ad hoc have any optional activities, those can be added into that. So let me add one small activity to this particular playbook. So we have like decision, which is like a kind of replacement for if else statements that we use. So we can use a decision, and according to that decision, true or false, the activities can be created. That's a diamond box that you have. And the square is for the activities. And here we have all the out of the box activities. So for sample, right, I'm creating using existing activity, which is a questionnaire template. So here, since it's a questionnaire type of activity, so it is giving me a questionnaire template or a questionnaire UI where I need to provide the questions that I wanted to ask the agent. Just couple of sample questions for testing. Yep. So after adding this activity, if I want to test it like even before activating it, I can do it just like how I will be able to test the flow, right? I'll be able to give any parent record. Parent record is nothing but where my flow is getting executed. So I select that parent record and do a quick test, and it will show me how these activities will show up. So if I go to that preview, so it gives me in the like you see here, right, the questionnaire activity. So it's not that hard, it's very simple. So just building that simple activity. And as I mentioned, right, these are the activity actions that agent can perform. So let me create one simple case here. Just the interest of time, I'll not complete that entire playbook, but I'm creating a new onboarding case. Okay. So here you see left side, right? As I mentioned, this is a vertical design of the playbook. We can also have horizontal in the CSM workspace. You can see here, right? First question, first activity is collect customer information. But if you remember or recall, like my playbook doesn't have this activity, right? My activity is starting from add additional members. I don't have any collect customer information type of activity. So this is coming from another place. Like you see here, we don't have my first activity is from the additional members, right? So this is coming from the record generators. This is also another feature here, wherein see here, I haven't submitted any case here. I'm trying to create a case for onboarding a customer. So here, this is another feature wherein record generators will be initiated before a case creation itself. So here I'm gathering all the required information for that particular case, onboarding case. After that, the series of activities will continue after doing this, and all the administration related to this, right? If I want to create new activities, new trigger definitions, data definitions, everything will be visible from the process automation. And also there are two courses in now learning. One is for the playbook essentials, which is like a basic playbook creation and maintenance, and playbook advanced, using which we can also create our own activities, embed the experiences into various pages, etc. So that's about it today. Yep. Thanks for joining my session. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.